As the chair of the full committee, Mr. DeFazio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks again for this hearing. Thanks to the witnesses for being here today, physically and virtually. We have tremendous opportunities with the bipartisan infrastructure bill or the IIJA or whatever you want to label it. $400 billion in major highway projects, bridges, $107 billion transit, and $102 billion for rail. As was noted, this will require a tremendous investment in a workforce, a new workforce, and reaching communities that haven't been reached before for all these new positions in the construction trades. A lot of young people aren't aware that, of the tremendous opportunities that are out there, and we've got to reach out to them and recruit them into this. It's not people with picks and shovels anymore. Much construction work is very sophisticated, computer-driven equipment, et cetera. We also need to continue to protect Davis-Bacon prevailing wage. We want people to get a fair wage for their work and be able to have a good middle-class lifestyle, which is becoming more and more difficult in this nation. So that's really key. I'm pleased to welcome the executive director of the Oregon Tradeswoman, Kelly Kupchak, who is testifying on behalf of the National Task Force on Tradeswomen's Issues. Oregon, my home state, has been on the forefront of addressing historical underrepresentation of women, minorities, disadvantaged individuals in the construction trades. Just recently, Metro, the Metropolitan Planning Organization in Portland, and its regional partners adopted the Construction Career Pathways Regional Framework and signed the first of its kind Regional Workforce Equity Agreement. These coordinated efforts will help ensure delivery of infrastructure projects in Portland, provide career opportunities for women, minorities, and I look forward to hearing how Congress can better support these efforts and the administration as we move forward. And then local transportation agencies will now be able to require that a percentage of the workforce to build federally funded transportation projects comes from the local community. This authority, commonly referred to as local hire, was previously only authorized through DOT pilot programs. It's now an established permanent program. And I'm eager to hear from Director Liu of the Colorado Development Transportation Association, Department of Transportation data about their experience working with developers, community colleges, local organizations to set and meet local hiring goals on their Central 70 project. Colorado is just one place where this has been done, reaching out into the surrounding communities, and I look forward with the passage of this bill to others. Just to comment on a couple of issues raised by the ranking member. We're seeing astronomical gasoline prices. Guess what? We're also seeing astronomical price gouging and profiteering by the oil and gas industry. I would invite the gentleman and others to join me on my windfall profits tax bill. The industry is going to use $22 billion of, as they call it, excess profits, excess extra profits, to buy back stock, enriching only stockholders and boards of directors and CEOs and executives, while the American people are paying the bill. And oddly enough, that happens to be the amount of money we'll collect over the rest of the year from the federal gas tax, which some are proposing to suspend. Let's go after them. It used to be illegal to buy back your own stock till Ronald Reagan. It's self-enrichment. And they're gonna have record profits on top of the record stock buybacks. Oh, and by the way, they're going to pay record dividends. But oh, yeah, that's all the problem of Joe Biden. Joe Biden, created the oil cartels. And then, we had held a hearing earlier today about shipping and what's going on there with price gouging, which is driving up the cost of every good that comes to the United States dramatically. The three largest shipping companies in the world made more money last year than over the last decade. And they're justifying that with COVID, emergencies, and all this. A lot of this is price gouging driven by the largest corporations in the world who are all enjoying record profits at the expense of the American people. And I would invite my Republican colleagues and other Democrats to join me. At least let's take on the oil industry with a windfall profits tax and go after their price gouging. That would provide tremendous relief to the American people. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Chair DeFazio. I would now like to welcome the witnesses on our panel. Ms. Shoshana Liu, Executive Director, Colorado Department of Transportation. Ms. Tanya Smith, Director of the Office of Civil Rights, North Carolina Department of Transportation. Mr. Brent Booker, Secretary Treasurer, North America's Building Trade Unions. Ms. Kari J. Karst, President, BX Civil and Construction, on behalf of the Associated General Contractors of America. Ms. Kelly Kupchak, Executive Director, Oregon Tradeswomen, on behalf of the National Task Force on Tradeswomen's Issues. Ms. April Ray, President and Chief Executive Officer, the Conference on Minority Transportation Officials. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to your testimony. Without objection, witnesses' full statement will be included into the record. Since your written statement has been made a part of the record, the subcommittee requests that you limit your oral testimony to 5 minutes. Ms. Liu, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the subcommittee and everyone in attendance today. My name is Shoshana Liu, and I'm the Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Transportation. Thank you for inviting me here to testify and discuss CDOT's successful workforce development program as part of the Central 70 project in Denver. The Central 70 project that broke ground in 2018 is Colorado's largest infrastructure project ever undertaken by the state and comes in at a cost of about $1.2 billion. When we first started studying the I-70 corridor through the heart of Denver, it was essential that we understood the demographics of the community that we would be working in so that we could meet their needs and keep them informed and make sure that they were part of the project. The Globeville and Elyria-Swansea communities, located adjacent to our most impactful construction activities, are comprised of mostly lower-income families, many of whom identify as Hispanic. We also learned that the unemployment rate was 10 times higher in this area than in other parts of the metropolitan area. While the project made dozens of commitments to meet the various needs of environmental justice communities, one solution we were able to come up with to address the issue of unemployment specifically was our workforce development program. The economic benefits of the Central 70 project are both significant and long-lasting, and the project was anticipated to require about 4,000 positions, from skilled craft workers to administrative support. In February 2016, CDOT received approval from the Federal Highway Administration to implement a local hiring preference for the Central 70 project. This approval was granted under a one-year program called the Step 14 program, for those familiar with the Federal Highway Administration statutes. CDOT is one of 9 state transportation agencies across the US participating in this program, which allows requirements for contractors to hire a certain percentage of workforce from within specific geographic boundaries. In the case of Central 70, CDOT focused hiring targets on neighborhoods adjacent to the project developer, Kiewit Meridian Partners, known as KMP, during the estimated 4.5-year project. KMP is required to hire 20% of its employees full-time from the local community. This program allowed us to hire residents from 13 zip codes that are touched by the project in one way or another. CDOT is also participating in the US Department of Transportation's official on-the-job training program, or OJT, targeted to move women, minorities, and disadvantaged individuals into journey-level positions to help meet highway construction hiring needs and address the historical underrepresentation of these groups in highway construction skilled crafts. CDOT's contract with KMP requires 200,000 training hours to be provided to employees in the skilled crafts. In June of 2015, the Federal Highway Administration awarded CDOT $400,000 from its Ladders of Opportunity Initiative, OJT pilot program, to grant support to these efforts. These funds have now been used to establish a collective impact workforce program called Work Now. As of February 1st, 2021, only 2.5 years into construction, The Central 70 project exceeded its workforce goal and had 600 local workers contribute 760,000 hours to the project. As of October 2020, the Central 70 project's OJT goal of 200,000 hours was surpassed.